Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next is William Bonds, and then after that will be Russ Page and Tracy Eldridge. Are they here? Come on down.
Good afternoon. May I begin? Thank you, Chairman Farrell and members. Empire Safety Council is a New York-based defensive driving sponsor. We've been in business for over 20 years. We have 800 active instructors, classroom instructors in New York State, and we trained approximately 120,000 students in the defensive driving program last year alone. ES Empire conducts both classroom and online defensive driving courses, although a very small percentage of online. I am here today to speak to you about the administration of the online or the internet point insurance reduction programs. Empire is all about highway safety and improving the skills of New York drivers. That's why we're so concerned about the administration of the internet point insurance reduction program in this state. The effectiveness of these programs are supposed to be evaluated by a statistical analysis of driver improvement. New York's analysis of the internet point insurance reduction program is flawed and its evaluation scientifically worthless. The effectiveness study of the internet point insurance reduction pilot conducted in December of 2013, that's a 5-year pilot program, which sunset last year, has been continued for an extra year, and now I see it's in the budget for one more year. It should be dropped from the budget. There's no legislative approval for it. In fact, it is outrageous that the Department of Motor Vehicle is renewing the Internet Point Insurance Reduction Program based on fraudulent and flawed studies coupled with failed user identity validation measures that allow anyone to take the internet course for someone else just by using a telephone. They've dropped the requirements for biometrics. They also dropped the requirements for testing. If you take an internet course, you don't even have to pass a test. Talk about low student involvement. These effectiveness studies are titled and represented as being conducted by the Institute for Traffic Safety Management and Research at the University of Albany by contract. I have a copy of the study right here. I have never in my life seen a research document, scientific research document, without an author's name. This study is written by a ghostwriter in the Department of Motor Vehicles for some perverse incentives, because this study, this program, internet program, brings in approximately $2 million to the state budget. As I said, it was a pilot program. It's supposed to be passed by the legislature. The only legs that this program has is that it's slipped into this budget process. That's the only thing holding it up. It should be discontinued immediately until this program can be studied by verifiable research. Further, in a letter to ESC in a response to a FOIL appeal, the Vice Chancellor for Policy and Chief of Staff for FOIL appeals at SUNY wrote, "This evaluation was conducted by the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles, not the University of Albany." Now, this research document, which I'll leave for the chairman, says that it's conducted by the Institute for Traffic Safety Research at the University of Albany, and it was not. And it was done under a contract number C000784, for which the university received $51,000 in state funds and never did a single thing. They denied doing the study, but they took the money anyway. We've asked the state controller to investigate that, and we have a meeting coming up with the state controller hopefully soon. But again, Tragically, these studies by deceptive authors are knowingly using invalid methods to perpetuate and promote a state-sponsored program being held out to the public as improving their driving skills and justifying insurance and point reduction benefits, when in fact there is no credible evidence that that is the case. You know, if you take a defensive driving course, you get a 10% discount. If you took it online, somebody else might have taken that course for you. But you still get the discount, even though the online courses are not effective. So who pays for that? Everybody else that has insurance pays for that. And I think that's unfair to everybody else who has to buy insurance. It's also unfair to insurance companies, to say the least. In light of the irregularities involved at the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles and the Institute for Traffic Safety Management contracted research, I'm urging that the language be included in the budget to suspend the Internet Point Insurance Reduction Program, as was proposed by the legislation introduced last session by Senator Ruben Diaz and Assemblyman Marcus Crispo. A legislative review should be conducted so that it can be verified as to whether or not the work that New York State DMV had contracted was actually conducted. And I can tell you, gentlemen, Senator Savino also, that it was not. They did no work. They received $51,000 in state funds. And I think you should be outraged about that. So I'm asking that this be dropped from the budget immediately and let the legislative process, the way the program was designed, during the 5 years, the pilot program was supposed to be studied by verifiable research. Then the legislature decides whether it's continued. Well, it's been continued past the 5 years, 6 years, and now going into the 7th year. It must be stopped. Thank you for your attention to this critical public safety matter. And I think that this program, the classroom program, is good public policy. Obviously, the overall effectiveness of the classroom program is 18.7% of people who take and complete the course have fewer accidents, and almost 60% reduction in recidivism, repeat traffic offenses. So that program works. When I hear about that, I'm here in the most timely way regarding the Internet Point Insurance Reduction Program. It does not teach. And driver safety is the point, and that is the point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bonds.
Questions?
Any questions? Senator
Savino.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bonds, for your testimony. You know, as you were sitting here, I reached into my pocketbook because I just recently took one of the courses online. I had a 10% discount on my GEICO policy that expired at the end of the year. They sent me a notice in the mail and said, you know, your 10% insurance discount is set to expire, and you can, they gave me a list of internet, you know, online testing companies that I could get a discount on the course itself as a GEICO member, and they recommended them. So I took the test. It's quite tedious, actually, online, because, you know, there's time that has to elapse in between the questions so that you don't skip through. And there's this constant, you know, you have to set up a whole identification process, and then every so many questions, it stops and asks you to dial a number, and then you have to call in and verify that you are who the person is. But as a consumer, if I receive that from my insurance company with a list of potential defensive driving courses that I could take both in person or on the internet, should we question whether or not those are good programs, or should we assume that they are? Is there a place where a consumer could find because not everyone has 5 hours to go to a class. They want to sit in their home and take it, because you can take it over several days if you do it online. How would you direct people to do that?
I might be giving you some bad news. It's my understanding from Assemblyman Gant's office that the Senate does not allow their members or employees to take the online course.
What, in the Senate, but not at home? What you do in your own house is your own business.
Okay, that's fair. So is there a place where consumers can look?
Right, how
No,
would I
it's-
know?
It's up to this budget committee right now. What was supposed to happen is you had a 5-year pilot program. It was supposed to be studied by verifiable research. And then whoever was opposed to it or for it, the legislature could continue it into permanent law if they wanted, but there would be verifiable research. What we've got now is the only thing that's making this thing stand on its own legs is this budget process, that the governor has put the Internet Point Reduction Program into the budget. That's the only thing that gives this thing legs. It's not effective. It doesn't work. Anybody, did you use the telephone as the user identity validation? Senator? Yes. You could have handed that off to anybody else and say, here, finish the course for me. Give them a couple of passwords and, validation. So, I'm asking you today, what's happened here is, we had an internet pilot program that was supposed to have biometric measures for user identity validation, all been eliminated. Now it's a telephone. That only lasted a few months, all right? In this study, you have DMV telling you, in this budget process, in this document, that they're still using biometric validation measures. They aren't. Every single company, by the way, is an out-of-state companies, they're all using the telephone, which is not a biometric. Anybody can hand it off. And talk about jobs. We have 800 active instructors right now in New York State. They tell me they're losing students. Their class sizes are going down. They're losing jobs, they're losing incomes. These are dedicated people, and we're losing jobs in New York State for companies who use their lobbyists to come here and eliminate the crucial part of this program to have any benefit to any of the drivers, and it's just
I got it.
terrible
Now I
what's
understand.
happening. So there is no place for the consumer. If any consumer is listening, if you want to get a benefit from a driver safety education, take a classroom course. But I'm saying to you,
We can fix
please
it.
eliminate this program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Russ Page and Tracy Eldridge. And then after that will be